Three. Hey, welcome to Between the Lanes, episode number 61. I'm Ron.
And I'm Shane.
He's Shane.
I'm Shane.
He's Shane. I'm Ron. Anyway, welcome to the show. And as usual, you can always find us on YouTube, home of Between the Lanes episodes, along with how-to articles and other special episodes we've done along the way in the past year and couple months. And of course, we're also on Facebook. Between the Lanes is the page. And as we always start off every week with race results. Last weekend was a pretty busy weekend. The racing season is upon us. The Ohio Retro Series ORS was at HMS in Bellevue, Ohio, and they raced on the recently restored or refurbished American King track that Gary Gerding was there a month or so ago. And from what I hear, the track is quite fast now. And launching problems seem to have been taken care of in the main straightaway. In the Retro Angle Winder class, Jason Eichelbarger was the winner. Earl Grable was second. Bud Bardos third. Can-Am, Jason Eichelbarger was again the winner. Bud Bardos second, Jason Dennis third. And Jason Dennis was your F1 winner with Greg Fox second and Jason Eichelbarger in third. Sorry, we got no podium pictures. The AWRA was at Uncle Charlie's in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Oh, you know what? I don't have any pictures of that. So, in Legends, Jason Lambert was the winner. Charles Eldridge was second, and Jody Greer was third. Sportsman Jody Greer was the winner. Teddy Hoots was second, and Charles Eldridge was third. So, tell me, is Teddy second? Did you finish second at your AWRA race you went to?
I finished second in everything.
Oh, so you're up on Teddy then.
Yeah.
So, Yankee USRA series was at Bristol 1010 Raceway up in Bristol, Connecticut, I believe it is. The Box 12 class, George Mirza was the winner. Ray Lee was second, and Colin was third. And I don't know. I know this is Ray Lee. I don't know who the gentleman is. So I don't know if that's George the winner or Colin the third place finisher. And then in Pro Wire 12, Keith Keeler in the center was the winner. Ray Lee was second. John Foose was third. In the Cobalt 12 class, Keith Keeler again was the winner. Brandon Lee second. Paul Kovich in third. In Group 27, Keith Keeler pulled off the trifecta, winning again with Brandon Lee second and Rick Gage in third. The Central Illinois Slot Series was at Whiskers Raceway in Gladstone, Illinois, out in the cornfields, as I say. And in the hard body class, they run CIS hard body rules and B&E hard body rules, and they run them together, but they score them separate. So in the hard body class, which is an FCR-based chassis, Ken Williams was the winner. John Vincent was second, and Brian Wallig was third. And these three were the overall top three and the CIS hard body rules top three. And John and Ken were on the same lap at the end of the race. And then in the hard body B&E side of things, PJ Baltz, the track owner, was the winner. Jeff Strauss was second. They were on the same lap. And Dave Fugate was a distant third. Can-Am, Jeff Strauss was the winner. I was second. Brian Wallig was third. In the 4.5-inch stock car class, I was the winner. Jeff Strauss was second, and Ken Williams was third. And in GTP, I was the winner with Ken Williams second and PJ Baltz in third. And you're going to love this because PJ had a Scott Morgan moment with the motor going at the end of the race. But
Right.
PJ's made it. I mean, it was like PJ's coming through the bank. Car gets right in front of him. Car stops, and then the power goes off. But his motor had expired. So his at least went the whole distance. So PJ had a pretty good day. Mid-American Hard Body Slot Car Club had their annual Hard Body National Championship races at Chicagoland Raceway in the Chicago area. In the hobby stock class, Dennis Clark squeaked by Ken Eisler in the last, I want to say, closing seconds of the race. From what I understand, Ken was leading and got into some traffic or maybe into an accident, and Dennis kind of squeaked by. Dave Gearing was third. Superstock, Brian Meharry was the winner. JP Milchushka was second, and Rick Stegan was third. I don't know what Rick's looking at over there. I don't know if he's blowing air at Neil Eisler or whatever. And in the pony stock class, which was around the King track, Neil Eisler was the winner. Rick Stegan, blowing again at Neil, or I don't know, sticking his tongue out or something, was second. And JP Milchushka was third. In the UKRA, the United Kingdom Retro Racing Association, they held a race in Colby, England. In the F1 class, George Kimber, former guest on the show, was the winner. Gavin Willis was second. Mike Thompson was third. In the saloon class, it was Gavin winning, George second. Mike Thompson was third overall, but this was like the A main, which Tony here was not third overall, but he was third in the A race. And then in the Tottenham Retro Sports, Mike Thompson was the winner. George Kimber second, and Steve Taylor in third. So, winner, winner, chicken dinner. That's our race results and the report from some of last weekend's races around the country.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
So, this Sunday, October 13th, Mid-South is at Hobby Max in Durham, North Carolina. Shane will be there. Flexi National Racing Series, FNRS, is at HMS in Bellevue, Ohio. I'll be there. The Sano Retro Race is taking place at Chicagoland Raceway. Penn, Ohio is at Fast Tracks in Newark, Ohio. The Florida Slot Car Series is at the Raceway.biz, Melbourne, Florida. And, of course, the Israel World Championships. I believe they start with production class racing this weekend. And there's links on Facebook. If you go to the ISRA 2018 Facebook page, they have links for both live timing and video. You might want to check that out over the next several days. Like I said, practice now up into the weekend, and production racing and F1, 132nd Eurosport, and 124th Eurosport racing the following week. So October 20th, we got the Flexi Challenge race at Hobby Max. That's the big $1,000 to win Flexi car race that we've talked about past few weeks. And we have the USCA is at Chicagoland Raceway. The Ohio Challenge Cup Series is at Northeast Raceway up by Erie, Pennsylvania. On the 21st, which will be a week from this Sunday, Penn Jersey Stock Car Series is at Trains and Lanes, Easton, Pennsylvania. October 27th, we got BRS at HMS. The Northeast Nazareth Nats at Port Jeff Raceway for wing cars. The Gator Retro Racing region is at Fast Eddie's. The NERR is at Modelville, and Retro East is at the Race Place in New Jersey. And, of course, signups are still open in the 2018 Flexi Flats Slot Car Track Concours, November 16th and 18th. And go on Facebook and you can find the Flexi Flats page. And there's still plenty of time to get entered for that race. So, I didn't have any messages sent into the show this week, but one of our viewers sent this photo to me and asked me about their commutator color being a reddish purplish color, and asked if that was too much spring tension, which I replied yes. But yes and no. So I don't know what the caller, I should say caller, I don't know what the viewer did after I told them yes, and I didn't hear back. But outside the ComTrack, and the ComTrack is, well, yeah, there we go. I don't know what happened there. So anyway, that's nice. Hey, what's going on? Hey.
Oh, boy. Technical difficulties.
I can't even get back to that picture. Let's do this. Well.
Hi.
Hi, we're back. So let me go here for a second. Ooh, beep, beep, beep.
I was going to say, here we got a lap counter.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to try and get this back up.
Unplug it, plug it back in. Works every time.
Well, I'm going to, no, I'm not going to do that because it won't let me. Oh, there it is. I'm just going to close that window out and reopen it here in a minute. Well, that's nice. Beep, beep, beep. So anyway, yeah, we're kind of freezing up. Okay, so let's bring this. There we go. We're still recording, so that's good. Okay, so let's see what this says. Okay. So the ComTrack is the area where the brush rides on the commutator, and after you run your motor in for a little while, that area of the commutator will get, I don't know, dark gray, black. It's just a dark color. And outside that track, you still have copper where the brush doesn't ride. So when a commutator gets real hot, it starts to change color outside the track. And typically, you see this a lot in Group 7 or open type motors where what you're looking for is you want that area outside the ComTrack to be a white gold color. That's like the perfect color. And if it's red, well, usually it'll start off orange and then go red. And that's usually a sign that in open motors, you're running too much choke and you're making the motor run hot, or the commutator's running hot. So when it's orange or red, you're just a little bit over, what do I want to say? You're like just a little bit too much choke maybe. Now in group motors, spring tension will affect that more than like a choke, because you don't run choke with lower class motors. So
right.
When you get that color, it can be either too much tension, or in the case, I think this motor was being run in on a power supply. If it's on a power supply, yes, you can either have too much tension for the amount of voltage or the amount of RPMs or speed you're running the motor at. Or it could be you have maybe a bad bridge, or maybe getting some AC ripple out of your power supply. But I mean, if you've run in several motors and one motor does it and the rest doesn't do it,
right,
it's probably not a power supply problem. If all your motors are doing it, it could be a power supply problem. So you could reduce tension while you're running the motor in, but probably the easiest, quickest thing to do is if you're running the motor in at 4 volts and it's doing that, just kick it up to 5 volts. As long as you're not getting a lot of brush arc, because you don't want a lot of brush arc when you're breaking your motor in. Okay?
Right.
So if you spin the motor faster and no more brush arc, then you'll probably see that color go away. So a lot of times motors, and that's one of the things like the ProSlot FK motors, they're so magnetically bound up. You probably need to be running them in at like 6 to 7 volts.
Right.
So they stay cool and don't get hot. And even, I mean, I haven't seen like any of those comms turn color, but when you go over and touch a motor after 15 minutes and you can't even touch it, yeah, you need to run some more voltage through it and get it spinning to get more air through it.
Right.
So, because I mean,
we've talked about that before with just the magnets in the FK motors of binding them up.
Right. And see what happens in like ceramic magnet motors. If you turn them at 6, 7, 8 volts, then you get a lot of brush arc, and you don't want that. So the difference is the magnets. So when you have weaker magnets or ceramic magnets, you can run them in at lower volts, and they seem to stay cool. Whereas like cobalts and polyneos, and you need to turn them up a few more RPMs. Not so much Group 7 motors or 27 motors, but the FK motors definitely, because they are really bound up for that wind. Right. So, I mean, rule of thumb, say Retro Hawk, Hawk 7s, 16Ds, Group 12s, International 15s, anywhere from 3 to 5 volts. Group 7 motors, again, 3 to 5 volts. Same for 27s. But with the FK motors, or anything with a really strong neo magnet, you really need to spin them up quite a bit more. I mean, I've run some FK motors in at 8 volts.
Yeah, so I've went from 6 to about 8, just depending.
Yeah.
I just kind of feel them and see what they feel like.
Right.
If they're still hot, then it's like, all right, let me try a little more. Just kind of keep an eye on it.
Yeah, and just keep an eye on the brush arc. If you're not arcing the brushes real bad, you're all right.
Right. And then some of them you plug in and get to spinning, and it's just like, wow, this thing's fine.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, all right.
Right. So here's some tips, technical tips on running motors in. And of course, this is dry break-in. I mean,
right, yeah.
I don't personally believe in the water break-in, except for Retro Hawk and Hawk 7s, just because the brushes are so hard now that dip them. I get a clear solo cup, I fill it with water, put the motor in there. I'll run it until the water starts to get a light gray color. Pull it out, blow all the water out of it, oil it up, and then run on the power supply at 5 volts for like 3 hours. And then the brushes should be fully seated by then. And there's guys that do other things to each their own, but when it comes to all the other motors, I'm a dry break-in guy.
That's how I've tried just about every method, and it just seems easier just to run them in dry because you can kind of see what the motor's doing, how it's running. Right.
Well, you can hear it. You can hear things like bad bearings or bushings, temperature. I mean, the motor can run so cool for say 15 minutes. All of a sudden, it's just scalding hot for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, problem, something's happened. So when you do that in water, you don't know what the temperature of the motor really is until you put it on the track, and then it might go poof. So yeah.
The only time I've ever did water is like if I'm in a hurry or if it's something there at the track.
Right.
I try to have everything ready to go when I get to the track, but there's always those few occasions where it's like it's last minute. I kind of need to speed the process up. It's kind of got a cup, you know.
Well, my theory is if you're building motors at the track because you ran out of time at home, you probably should stay home.
Yeah. Generally, that was the case. It's like I should have just stayed home.
But if you're building motors, or I should say swapping out armatures in a different setup, searching for speed, okay, that's okay. But yeah, if you're going to the track and building motors, you're usually better off just staying home that day.
Yeah,
that's
I can remember
my experience and my opinion.
Yeah, you can ask Bobby about me staying up until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning rebuilding motors for the Division I Nats at the hotel.
Yep.
I only had, I think, 5 Group 12 motors. So I was like, well, these are all I got. This is what I'm going to use. So I had to go back to the room that night and rebuild them for the next day to race a totally different class.
Right.
So he's over there sleeping, and I got him whining, just singing, like, yep, it's going to be a late night. And I'm sitting there looking like, how is he sleeping through this? I could not sleep with all that going on.
You get so tired you go to sleep, but
yeah,
then you're sitting there thrashing, building motors all night long, and you want to go to sleep. So, you didn't go race last weekend, did you?
No, I took the weekend off. I worked on my stuff a lot. I got a lot accomplished. Yeah, I got a lot of races coming up.
Yeah, well, I'm again turn and burn.
Yeah, same here. I was off last weekend, but work's picked up a lot. So
right, yeah, because I'm actually kind of getting ready for 2 weekends. FNRS this weekend and Durham the following weekend.
Right, and see, I'm trying to do 3 races.
Right.
I want to test for the Flexi Flats. Then Saturday I'll be at Durham, but I also want to kind of test my money cars, make sure I got the guide spacing right on those, and maybe try some different height bodies or whatnot. So, yep. Get some track time because it's been probably the last time I was on that track was the FNRS race.
Right.
That was in February?
Yes.
I was going to say, has it been since February? Since I was trying to think. I don't think I've been back to that track since February.
I know I haven't.
So.
Yeah. So yeah, because last week was one class of.
Yeah, because I remember one minute you were like, I'm going to go to race. Next minute you're like, no. And then I got busy over the weekend, didn't bother you. Then I think you called me Sunday, and I was like, did you race? And you were like, yeah.
Well, I decided last minute to go. And I really wasn't. I was probably 60% kind of prepared to go. But I knew that when I got there, I was only going to run a couple hours probably on Friday night, and I was going to go back to the hotel and probably have 3 hours before I'd probably be ready to fall asleep. So I thought, well, I can mount some bodies.
Right.
Figure out what cars I'm going to exactly race, then go. Because like my Can-Am cars, for example, I had bodies pinned for them. And I thought, well, I'll use these as practice. Okay, so 4 Can-Am cars, one had a wide nose body, the other 3 had narrow nose bodies. And I knew, I kind of I want to run the wide nose body. So I went and did my practicing, ran the 4 cars. This car's the fastest. They were all pretty close, but,
right.
This one felt the best, went the fastest. So I went back to the hotel and I mounted, brand new bodies on each car. So when I went back the next morning, everything was equal.
Right.
They all have the same body. They're brand new bodies. And it didn't change a thing. The car that was the best the night before was still the best race day. I say the worst car, but I could have raced that car and did well with it too. But they all ran the same. They ran a little faster with newer bodies.
Right. You try to mount all your bodies the same?
Yes, on the retro cars, yes.
Gotcha.
For the most.
I was talking to a guy today.
I've never seen on retro cars moving them forward, moving them back to where it's ever made a difference. Yes, sometimes if the rear is right at the limit of 1 3/8 inches, that might be better than one that's a little lower, or maybe a little lower might be better than one that's at the limit. But I don't play with that too much. I just kind of mount everything right at the limit and go with that. So, now those I mean, even the body I raced, I mean, no, hardly any damage. So those bodies are ready for another race. So, Friday night while I was preparing for the race tomorrow, I was also preparing for races down the road because now those cars are fresh bodies.
Right.
And I had 2 stock cars with me, and I kind of thought, well, this one car just went around that little bit better than the other one. It's like, okay, this is going to be my race car. So I was thinking I'm going to mount new bodies on both of them. But I got lazy and just thought, well, I'm just going to mount a new body on the car I'm going to race.
Right.
And so I did that. And then in GTP, same deal. I had 5 GTP cars, and one was just that much better than the rest of them. And so I just mounted one GTP body. And then before I knew it, it was midnight and time to go to bed. So,
gotcha.
So now this week, I mean, it's, I will start later tonight, but it's start mounting bodies for this weekend. And because all the motors are in the cars, I mean, they're all, same rules other than CIS has an 1 5/8 inches limit, which I'll mount new bodies at that height, but I might mount some a little higher.
Right.
But all the cars need new bodies anyway for this week and next week. So again, if I go with 6 cars this weekend and I got new bodies, I'm only going to race one.
Yeah, you still got
have to mount one
5 new bodies
going for next. Yeah, right. So kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah, that's like me with what I'm doing as far as racing. Everyone's like, why are you testing cars that you're racing down the road? And it's just like, I can get the guide height right, and just stuff I've learned from you talking to you. You're like, oh well, since I'm here and I know I have this race coming up, let me go ahead and take the cars so I can get the test guides, guide height.
Yep.
I mean, with spec tires and spec motors, you can't really do much there in that aspect, but maybe take a similar motor, and see what gearing and stuff does that affects that motor.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, because, I mean, you'll get some track time on the track. I mean, do you know if they're going to, after you guys race this weekend, they're just going to leave the track alone for the following weekend, or are they going to?
As far as I know, the track will be cleaned and prepared for the Mid-South race this weekend. We're running it in, and how we leave it, how it stays until the following week.
Yeah, because see,
I was told, so I don't, that could change. So if people show up and say, hey, we're on between the lanes, that's not a set in stone. So
yeah, because ORS raced at HMS last weekend in Bellevue. And I guess the track was really stuck when they first started running on it. And, it got better as they ran on it and raced on it.
Right.
And I told Kit Henry, the host of the race, just leave it. I mean, they've run it in for us. No sense in.
Yeah, I mean, the track's no longer green. Yeah.
Right. I mean, they only had, like I think 10 or so cars a class. So I mean, it wasn't like they had this huge field and they really rubbered. They rubber, but it's not real heavy. So I think it's a good base for us when the FNRS guys walk in. So they won't be stuck.
Right.
But they should have good traction. So.
Gotcha.
And then you just tune from there.
Next year, hopefully I'll be able to make it. So.
Yeah, well.
This year's set up for Tri-State, and that was a 6-hour ride.
Right.
And then being moved to a 10-hour ride, it was kind of like
right, and it's the week before the big race down there, so
yeah,
totally understandable.
Like, through an audible, it was like, well, if I wouldn't have spent all my airplane money, maybe I'd have flew up there. But flying now, it's a lot easier going 15 hours and 2.
Right.
But I definitely want to get up there and check the place out. So
cool. So, I mean, this is going to kind of be a short show because I really don't.
Yeah, I mean,
this week I was trying to work on something.
Got any giveaways? No giveaways?
No giveaways. Roger's gone, and
yeah, he's in Finland.
He's in Finland, so he didn't give me any instructions to give the house away while I was gone.
Gotcha.
Nope, no giveaways. Kind of a quiet week.
Yeah, I came through. Just if people think I look rough, it's because I worked until about 5:30 and was like, I'll do the show because I got stuff I got to do tomorrow to get ready to go out of town.
So yeah. So
time of year, hurricanes and people wanting to build.
Yeah.
Or get stuff to build to prepare for the hurricanes.
Right.
So.
Okay. Well.
We can do word of the show.
Oh wow. See, again, I never think about that until it comes up. So.
We can go brush arc.
We can use brush arc.
We talked about it. That's kind of the topic of the show.
Brush arc is the topic of the show.
Came through again.
I was going to say calm, but, hey, you beat me with brush track.
Yeah.
Or brush
hey, either which one.
So we'll go with brush track. So until next week, we will have more on next week's show, I promise.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe a more exciting show.
I'll drink some coffee or something like that. Be all wired up.
There you go. So we will see everyone next Wednesday, episode number 62. And we'll have on-the-scene race reporting because we're both going to be there.
Yeah, we could do something off to the side if we have some time.
And
we can do driver interviews. Maybe we can interview the winners.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
You know?
Well, and I think I don't know if it's going to happen in the next couple of days, but if it doesn't happen in the next couple of days, you might want to look forward to this. We'll make an announcement on Facebook and stuff. We're planning on doing another ISRA episode from guys in Finland. So I've heard from them a week ago about, do we want to do, do you want to do this? And I said, sure. So, but I haven't had any more details when it's going to happen. So
those guys are probably prepping and testing and
the
biggest thing is just they're 7 hours. I think me and you figured out they're 7 hours ahead of us.
7 hours ahead of us. So it's like if the show's on at 8, at 3 in the there. So I mean, it might be an episode where I just do it because we might be in day hours. You're at work. So and again, that could be, this.
Stay tuned.
Or Friday, or it might be sometime next week. And
I
don't want to say it's not going to happen, but I think I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. So we had a lot of good fun with that last weekend. So or last year, so hopefully it'll even be more fun. So this year. So yeah, that's another extra episode. So
gotcha.
We will announce it as it happens. So if you're going racing this weekend, good luck. Safe travels. Have fun. And see you next Wednesday.
Yep. Have a good night.
Ciao.